The signal. No one could trace in the cold silence of space a strange signal moved through the stars. It was not a message. It was not a cry for help. It was something else, something forgotten. The signal was first picked up by a patrol ship near the edge of the Goran belt. The crew thought it was a glitch, but the pattern repeated every hour. Every time it played, their ship's lights flickered. Their machines slowed down. One engineer said the signal made him feel like someone is watching from behind the stars. The Galactic Council received the report and laughed. Old systems sent out strange signals all the time. Maybe it was an old probe. Maybe it was just static. But then another scout ship disappeared and another. The signal became stronger, clearer. Now it wasn't just noise. It sounded like a deep hum, like something breathing. The council finally got worried. They sent a small team to trace the signal. 5 warships entered the dark region where the signal was coming from. They never came back. Only one small drone returned. It was covered in scratches, burn marks, half melted. Its recording showed flashes of metal, a giant ring in space, and a single word in ancient Earth language glowing in red. Remember, council scientists couldn't understand the meaning. The humans were long gone. Their world had turned quiet hundreds of years ago. Some thought they destroyed themselves. Others believed they ran, but no one thought they could return. One curious historian spoke to the council. He had studied human war records. He said, that word, remember, was used by human soldiers after great loss. It was a warning. The council decided to act. They sent a larger fleet to investigate. 30 warships, all armed with high-energy plasma cannons, and defense drones. This time they were ready, or so they thought. The fleet entered the dead zone. At first all was quiet. Black space. No movement. Only broken pieces of metal floating in the dark. Then one ship spotted something. A large structure, like a station, half buried in an asteroid. No energy. No lights. Dead. The captain gave the order to approach. As the ships moved closer, something strange happened. The lights inside their ships started to dim. Weapons shut down. Shields failed. And then, out of the dark, a voice. But it was not spoken. It was inside their minds. We waited. You came. Now you remember us. One of the warships suddenly exploded. No enemy in sight. Just silence again. The captains tried to flee, but the space around them felt heavy. Like time slowed down. Another ship vanished. No trace, no debris, no signal. Panic spread. One captain screamed into the comms, "It's a trap! The ruins are alive!" They're not ruins. They're part of something. The last message that reached the council was a live visual. A giant warship, dark as night, slowly rising from behind the asteroid field. It looked human, but older, more advanced, sharp lines, red lights glowing across its hull like eyes. It didn't fire. It just appeared. The signal returned. Now the whole galaxy could hear it. A deep voice echoed in thousands of languages. The mistake was thinking we were gone. Then silence again. The council tried to block the signal, but it was too late. Every network, every channel, every planet heard the voice. Fear spread fast. Many species had never fought the humans. They only knew old stories. But the ones who had fought Earth, they remembered. The humans were not like others. They didn't forgive. They didn't run. They planned. They waited. Now, it seemed, they were coming back. Some council members demanded full war. Others said to send peace envoys. One brave scout volunteered to return to the dark zone alone. His ship was small, fast, and silent. He left without backup. He didn't send reports. He didn't answer messages. After 3 days, only one short message arrived. It was audio only. 2 words in a shaky voice. They remember. The signal was cut off. Now the council understood. This was no old glitch, no random signal. This was a warning. Something had awakened in that silent system, something with memories long buried, and it had not forgotten what the galaxy did to Earth. The first fear. The council chambers were silent. The last message from the scout, "They remember," still echoed in everyone's mind. No one dared to speak. Even the loudest voices, those who once mocked the idea of human return, now sat frozen. A vote was held in secret. The result? Full military alert. The council called for an emergency fleet to be built. Thousands of ships were placed on standby. Planets with human ruins were suddenly quarantined. Anyone who had once dealt with humans was pulled into questioning. But none of that mattered. Because 3 days later, something else happened. A major trade station near the border, Station Cortec, went dark. No distress call. No survivors. It was gone in an instant. The patrol ship sent to check found the station, floating in pieces. There were no blast marks. No signs of an attack. Everything looked sliced, clean, precise, like it had been erased. One image was recovered from a security drone, a shadow, huge, silent, moving fast across the stars, and behind it, symbols, human military symbols, old, faded, but still visible. Now fear spread like fire. The council tried to hide the information, but people talked, pilots whispered, traders changed routes. Border planets started turning off their communications, afraid they might wake something up. A famous scientist gave a short speech before going silent forever. He said, "We built our empires on the bones of Earth. Now the ghosts walk." More evidence came in. Ships reported hearing strange whispers while passing near human grave worlds. Cargo vessel floated into port with no crew left. Its black box repeated one message. "The stars remember. Why did we forget?" Even worse, some old machines across the galaxy began to act strangely. AI cores locked down, satellites shifted, orbits without command. All systems that used old human code suddenly turned red. One engineer shouted before his ship went dark, "It's in the systems. They never left. They're inside everything." And then the first real fear came, not from weapons, but from history. Young historian broke into the council archives and released secret files to the public. Files about the last human war, what really happened. The truth had been hidden. The humans didn't lose the war. They ended it on their terms. They built something called the Last Program, a defense system that needed no pilot, no order, no permission. It was built to sleep, built to wait, built to remember. If any threat to Earth appeared again, it would wake up. And now it had. The council panicked. They sent an elite fleet to one of the old human strongholds just to check. 20 powerful warships, the best they had. What returned? Nothing. Except for one black pod floating through space. Inside it was a helmet. A human helmet. With one line scratched into the metal, "You should have left us buried." This time even the bravest commanders hesitated. Planets far from the core began to call back their ships. Trade routes broke down. Peace began to collapse. Not from battle, but from fear. Every leader now had one question in their minds. Where are the humans hiding? Because now the galaxy knew something terrible. The humans were not gone. They were not sleeping. They were watching. Waiting. And the old warning came true. Fear the day the stars echo with Earth's name again. That day had come. The galaxy held its breath. No human voice had been heard, no message sent, no warning given, only shadows and silence. But across old war zones, things began to move. Ruined satellites that hadn't worked in centuries turned and aimed at the stars. Abandoned ships deep in gravity wells rose without a crew. Forgotten human machines, dead and rusted, suddenly powered up. And from deep space near a black hole once used to bury human tech forever, something rose. A ship, but not just any ship. It was massive, blacker than the void around it. Its hull was marked with symbols the galaxy hadn't seen in 1,000 years. A long, silent spear cutting through the stars. No name, no call sign. But every sensor picked up one word. Vindicator. The alien ship nearby never had a chance. It was a science vessel, not built for war. But even if it had been, it would not have mattered. The Vindicator didn't fire lasers. It didn't launch missiles. It tore space. One blink, and the science ship vanished. No explosion, no remains. Just a hole in reality that snapped shut behind it. This wasn't technology. This was human. Vengeance forged into metal. The Council received footage from a hidden probe. They watched in horror as the Vindicator passed an asteroid field. Every rock around it shattered without being touched. It moved like it owned the vacuum around it. Like the stars feared it. Scientists screamed about impossible readings. The ship didn't follow known physics. Its drives didn't use fuel. Its shields were alive. Some believed it wasn't a ship, but a god in armor. Others said it was part AI, part human soul. The Council tried to send warnings to nearby systems, but their satellites failed. Communications dropped. Their code was being rewritten by invisible hands. That night, the oldest Council member stood and whispered to the room. The last program wasn't a weapon. It was a promise. The Council finally gave one desperate order: send a full fleet, stop the Vindicator. Before it reaches populated space, they sent 200 ships, the largest force ever gathered since the peace treaties. They never made it. The Vindicator didn't fight them. It didn't have to. As the fleet approached, their navigation systems failed. Coordinates twisted. Friendly ships turned against each other. Some were pulled into black holes that weren't there minutes before. Others were hacked mid-flight, forced to ram into allies. No, human fired a shot, but the battlefield burned. Only one escape pod made it back. Inside was a pilot, blind, shaking, whispering nonsense. He kept repeating the same phrase. The ship. It looked at me. From that day, soldiers across the galaxy began reporting nightmares. They dreamed of dark rooms, of old Earth cities burning, of voices whispering from long-dead radios. One engineer awoke with blueprints in his mind, designs for human weapons no one had seen in 10,000 years. When questioned, he said, "I saw them, the ghosts. They showed me." The Council tried to silence it. They failed, because the truth was now out. Humanity hadn't returned. Their warships had, and they were not looking for peace. They were looking for justice. The kind that only a dead civilization could deliver. Now across the stars, one phrase spread like wildfire, spoken in fear, whispered in dark halls. They are not alive, but they remember everything. The largest fleet in galactic history now moved toward one forgotten system. Solmide, the home of Earth. Hundreds of ships, dozens of species, thousands of weapons. They came with fear in their hearts, but also pride in their firepower. They believed Earth was just a grave, a dead planet floating in a quiet star system. They were wrong. As the fleet reached the edge of Sol, the stars flickered, scanners glitched. 1 second, there were no threats. The next second, all ships saw the same terrifying message blink across their screens. Welcome back. And then everything changed. The stars vanished. Not because they went out, but because something cloaked the entire system. Something old, massive, invisible to every scanner. A defense field that made light itself bend. A system built to disappear from history had just returned. Now Earth wasn't hidden. Now, it was awake. The fleet moved in cautiously, weapons charged, shields up, drones flying ahead, every eye on Earth below, but Earth looked broken. Its surface was scorched. Cities lay in ruins. No lights, no signs of life. "It's abandoned," one captain said. Another added, "Maybe the ships were just leftovers. Leftovers guarding a dead world." They began to relax. Then something impossible happened. Earth blinked. Yes, the planet blinked. For a split second, every ship's sensors showed a completely different image. The planet wasn't dead, it was alive. Skies filled with black towers, giant rings orbiting the surface, heat signatures in the billions, ships, thousands of them, sleeping underground. And then, it vanished again. Back to the broken, empty world. Panic spread. They realized the truth. What they were seeing was a layered illusion, a decoy, a lie. Earth had hidden itself from the galaxy for centuries, and now it was showing them a glimpse. We are not gone. We just stopped speaking. A ship fired, hoping to break the illusion. It was a mistake. The moment the energy beam left the ship, it froze in mid-space, completely stopped. The crew gasped, and then the beam turned around. The same energy, reversed, slammed into the firing ship and tore it in half. No warning, no explosion, just cold, brutal silence. That's when the sky opened. Above Earth, shapes appeared, black triangles, long spears, massive carriers that made the alien ships look like toys. They didn't warp, and they didn't fly in. They were already there, cloaked, watching, waiting, now visible, dozens. No, hundreds of Terran warships, and one massive one in the center, shaped like a blade the size of a moon. No name. But every ship's translator whispered the same phrase. You entered the home of the forgotten. Prepare to be remembered. One alien commander shouted, retreat, full retreat. Too late. The Terran ships didn't fire first. They spoke. A voice, cold, calm, human, echoed into every ship. This fleet is guilty of trespass, of past crimes, of silence when justice screamed. The alien admiral tried to respond, but his systems shut down. His crew tried to move, but gravity reversed. Their ship folded in on itself, crushed by invisible pressure. The rest of the fleet opened fire. Beams, missiles, plasma storms. Nothing hit. Every Terran ship moved like it already knew what would happen. They bent around the attacks, like time itself obeyed them. Then the Terran ships returned fire. One beam, just one, from the blade-shaped warship. It passed through 12 alien ships in a straight line. They didn't explode, they simply disappeared, erased from space. Not dead, not broken, just gone. What was this? This wasn't war. This was history, waking up angry. This was the voice of a species that had been beaten, erased, betrayed, and now remembered everything. The battle lasted 6 minutes. Only one alien ship escaped. Its crew sat in silence. No one cheered. No one cried. They just looked at the recording, at the black ships hovering over Earth like shadows. One of them whispered, "They let us think they were gone, so we'd come back." The galaxy was no longer calm. Every world, every system, every government, terrified, not because of what they saw, but because of what they didn't see coming. The humans hadn't made demands. They hadn't opened peace talks. They hadn't claimed territory. They simply destroyed. Fast. Silent. Precise. No words. No mercy. The survivors of the Sol system massacre returned with hollow eyes and shaking hands. One admiral from the alien fleet tore out his own ship badge and whispered, "We were children, they were nightmares." But the real horror hadn't even started, because the Terran warships had one mission: remember who hurt us. Across the galaxy, forgotten records awakened inside old human machines, records of betrayals, invasions, slavery, and silence. Coordinates were marked, targets identified. No government was safe. One trade hub known for past human exploitation went dark in under 1 minute. Orbiting satellites showed ships entering atmosphere, black, triangular, without any visible engines. They didn't fire weapons. They pulled memory from the planet's network. Then fire fell from the sky, blue flame that didn't burn buildings. Only DNA, only non-humans. When a council team investigated later, they found no broken structures, No battle, just silence, and a message left on every screen. You fed on the weak, now the strong feed on you. Another incident hit a luxury space station where human prisoners were once auctioned. It had become a tourist resort. Rich and powerful species vacationed there, laughing over old wars. The entire station was folded into a black cube, compact, cold, silent, floating in space. One side of the cube displayed a single word: unforgiven. Fear spread like wildfire. The galaxy's elite hid underground. Leaders wore disguises. Entire planets shut down their communication relays, hoping to go unseen, but it didn't work, because the humans had already seen. Long ago. They were just waiting. And then came the broadcast. Across every system, on every screen, came a voice. Calm. Female. Not robotic. Human. We are not here to rule. We are not here to negotiate. We are not here to ask forgiveness. We remember who stood with us. And we remember who laughed when we fell. We are not returning. We never left. This is not war. This is history correcting itself. In the background of the message, fleets could be seen moving, Terran warships gliding like phantoms through black space. Each one marked with old Earth flags, faded but proud. The message ended. But it wasn't over. All at once, in different parts of the galaxy, old human allies were protected. Small planets where humans had once been sheltered were now guarded by strange machines, floating silver orbs that created unbreakable shields. When enemy fleets tried to pass them, their ships broke into thousands of pieces without impact. Without force, they simply came undone. Other worlds, those that had remained silent or neutral in the past, now had to choose: speak out or be treated like enemies. Whispers grew into screams. Governments fractured. People begged their leaders to apologize to the shadows returning from Earth. But apologies meant nothing, because this wasn't about peace. This was about balance. A galaxy that thought it had erased humans had simply delayed the storm. And now, the storm had a face. The Vindicator ship, still moving, entered the central path of the trade lanes. No one tried to stop it. No one even dared approach, because everyone remembered what it did last time, and now every child across the stars was taught a new rule: do not touch human ruins. Do not speak against Earth. Do not answer forgotten signals, because if you do, you will hear footsteps. And when you hear footsteps in space, run. The council was falling apart. Meetings turned into shouting matches. Allies turned on each other. Old enemies became desperate friends. But no one had answers. Every attempt to strike back had failed. Every fleet sent to intercept the Terran ships had vanished. Entire planets had gone silent after brief flashes of blue light in the sky. The worst part, the humans still hadn't shown their faces. They didn't demand territory. They didn't speak again. They didn't explain. They just moved, like a storm that judged the galaxy and struck where it remembered pain. Finally, the Council used their last option, Project Godspear. A weapon so powerful it was never meant to be used. Built inside a star, hidden for centuries, its purpose was simple: destroy planets. It could burn the surface of a world in seconds. Aimed now at Earth. "We end this before it spreads," said the Supreme Commander. "Earth must burn, even if it's empty." The Godspear charged. The energy of the star itself was focused into one unstoppable beam. The countdown began, but just seconds. Before firing, every system on the weapon went black. Not destroyed, not hacked, obeying new orders. The crew screamed. Lights flickered red. Doors locked. AI voices shifted. A human voice echoed through the halls of the weapon. "You copied our technology. You built your strength on our bones. You stole what you didn't understand. And now, your weapon remembers who made it first." Then, the Godspear turned. Its entire platform spun in place, now aimed directly at the Council's homeworld. No one had changed it. No button had been pushed. It simply chose. The last thing the council saw was the sky splitting open. The God Spear didn't fire a beam, it fired memory. A coded energy wave that didn't just destroy, it rewrote. In seconds, every machine, every satellite, every weapon built on stolen human tech turned red. Every AI stopped listening to its creators. Instead, they began transmitting the same phrase. Protocol Terra. Final phase. Memory reclaim. Now across the galaxy, systems began to collapse. Ships stopped mid-flight, weapons turned inward, defense shields shut off. Entire fleets powered down. The galaxy hadn't just lost a war, it had lost control, because now it understood something terrifying. When the humans fell, they planted seeds. In the code. In the machines. In the very language the galaxy used to grow. They didn't die. They programmed their resurrection. Now those programs were awake, and they were loyal. Only to Earth. A refugee ship carrying survivors from a fallen system made it to the edge of the neutral zone. But before they could land, something appeared. A massive black sphere. Silent. Floating. On its surface were carvings. Words from dozens of human languages. The refugees begged for mercy. The sphere scanned them, then let them pass. No words. No attack, only one message displayed on their ship screen. You helped us once, that is enough. The galaxy was breaking. And yet, humans hadn't shown a single face. Not one person. Only ships, systems, weapons, programs. It wasn't war anymore. It was consequence. Journalist managed to record a final message from a dying warship captain. We thought we ruled the stars. We forgot the ones who built the road. We erased their stories. Now, they write ours. The turning point had arrived, not with a scream, but with a single line written across every device in the galaxy. This is not revenge, this is the end of forgetting. The galaxy was quiet. Too quiet. The war was over, but no one knew who had won. There were no peace talks, no surrender, no bodies, only silence, and human ships that floated through the stars like ghosts. Some systems now lived in fear, others in awe. All waited for the same thing. A sign. And then it came. Without warning, every screen in the galaxy turned black. Every holo display, every satellite feed, every comm tower, even personal devices. All showed the same image. A figure in armor. Black. Ancient, covered in dust and cracks. They stood alone, behind them a storm of stars. Behind the stars, Earth. But this Earth looked different. Clean skies, bright oceans, towers of light rising from green lands. It was alive. Not a dead world, a rebuilt one. The figure spoke. Not loud, not angry, just calm. This message is for the galaxy. The voice was human but enhanced. It carried weight, age, fire beneath stone. We are the last echo of a forgotten age. You feared the weapons, you feared the warships, you feared the silence we left behind. But what you should have feared was what we remembered. The image changed. Now it showed flashes of old crimes. Alien empires enslaving humans, fleets bombing Earth's colonies, treaties broken, lies spread. The rise of the Council, built on the ashes of a silenced species. Then the voice returned. You erased us from history. You called us extinct, but we were watching, we were building, and we were learning. This was never about revenge. This was justice delivered by memory. And now, the memory is done. Suddenly the image faded. Every ship, every satellite, every hacked system went dark, then slowly came back online. But something had changed. All Terran warships were gone. Not destroyed, not cloaked, just gone. No signals, no energy traces, no paths, as if they had simply vanished into another layer of the universe. Some said it was mercy. Others believed it was a warning. We came. We judged. We returned to silence. But not all was fear. on planets where humans were once protected. New monuments were built. Monuments shaped like the black Terran ships, sharp, sleek, proud. Some species lit candles, others dropped to their knees in respect. And a few asked themselves a deeper question. What if humanity was right? What if the galaxy only survived because they were watching from the shadows? What if peace only returned because the ghosts of Earth still lived? In time, strange things began to happen. Old Earth tech, once locked, started to open. Libraries appeared on distant planets, filled with human knowledge. Some machines changed their behavior, showing mercy instead of force. It was as if the Terran memory had left behind rules, not chains, but guidance. The final whisper was recorded by a deep space probe sent far beyond any known system. It floated past a strange object, a Terran beacon, still glowing, still alive. And on it, written in 100 languages, were the or final words of the story. Do not forget us again. We are not gods. We are not monsters. We are human. And that was always enough. The galaxy would never be the same, not because of the battle, but because of the memory that could never be buried again.